It's just recording. So with no further ado, over to you, Nikki.
Thank you very much, Jim. Very kind of you. Right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session. So we are going to be looking at supporting profiling and classroom engagement with Just Too Easy's J2 journal. And actually, I should have added in parent portal as well, because we are going to have a little look at the parent portal. So my name's Nikki Kimball. I'm one of the educational consultants at Just Too Easy. And let's have a look at what we're going to do today. So as I said, J2 Journal and Parent Portal, we're going to look at both of these, and I'm just going to give you a brief overview of kind of how to log in and where to find Journal. I've assumed that the majority of you are completely brand new to Just Too Easy and J2 Journal. So if you're not, bear with me, I will get into the nitty-gritty a bit later. And then we'll look at the J2 Journal basics, so things like setting up a journal and adding content, both for you and pupils. We're going to look at organising and sharing work within the journal. So we're going to look at kind of your folder structure. We're going to look at commenting and moderation, because anything added by a pupil or a parent will stay in a review section or a moderation area. So it's how you moderate those to publish onto the journal. And then we're going to have a quick look at using the parent portal to support parental engagement. And as part of that, I've also going to add in the parent view of the parent portal, so what the parents see as well. Now there are, and Jim's very kindly popped in the chat, if you have any questions, I sort of did start the session off by sort of asking for any questions. Please feel free to add them into the chat as we go along. I have got the chat open on my second screen, which is why I keep looking over to my right. So I will intermittently just double check. So if there's something that I'm going through and you're not quite sure, you want a little bit more information, or just questions in general, pop them in the chat and I will do my best to answer all of them. I'm also going to do a Q&A session at the end of the session as well, so you can always hold back until then. Right, so let's start from the beginning. So logging into Just Too Easy. We call Just Too Easy, might be called J2E, and you can go, there's two methods. So you can go via your Launchpad within Glow, because Aberdeenshire it is installed in Glow, so that is really useful. You are what we call a managed service. So what that means is we will use your Glow credentials to log in. So you don't need a separate username and password, which is really useful, not only for you, but also for the children as well. So via the Launchpad, you'll find there's a j2e.com button, so you can click on that and that will automatically open that up. Now, alternatively, you can go via j2e.com, so that is our central site, so j2e.com, and there is a Glow button there, okay? So you can use that to log in and use your Glow credentials to log in, so it's whichever one you want to use. There is an app for the iPad, so you can install that. So that is just a nice sort of shortcut, especially if you're using it with iPads for children. And again, they can click on that Glow button to log in. Now, once you are logged in, you'll land on our Launchpad. Okay, now we were always a content creation site for our children. So we have a lot of tools that the children can use to demonstrate their learning and understanding. So just to highlight some of these tools, we've got J2 Blast, which is our gamification tool. So that's all around. We've got times tables, spelling and maths. So it's, you know, answering questions as quickly as you can to do with spellings or times tables or math skills. And they get points as they play those. So really good sort of consolidation app there. We've got J2 Code, so great for your coding, your algorithms, your computational thinking. J2 Data, so now there's a big push for data literacy. So we've got 4 tools within that, 3 of which you'll find in JIT, but there's also Database, which is a very popular tool around creating databases, but there's also some example databases in there. J2 Create, which is, I always describe it as sort of the best bits of PowerPoint, Word and Publisher all in the same tool. So the kids can create posters or presentations, and it's a really versatile tool. It's got, you know, from a very basic level, it's just text and images, but you can embellish it with things like hyperlinks, audio recordings, videos. So it's a really, really useful tool. And then JIT. So if you are brand new to the site, never seen it before, I would highly recommend that you start by looking at JIT. It's a really child-friendly tool, very easy to use, icon-based, quite easy to pick up. And lastly, if you are brand new to the site, there is this, and this is brand new, it only came out last week. This is our teachers area. So just to show you, the teachers area is here. And this is full of content to help you get started. So we have our get started area. So you can click here and that will take you to a number of different videos. So we've got, getting started with early years. We've got a link to our journal and parent portal video. So that will help you sort of get started with that. The intro to the tool suite. So getting started the basics, and then various tools and some information here to do with Glow and logging in. And then we've also got links to our YouTube channel, which I have lovingly created hundreds of videos for. And there's also live lessons on there, which are incredibly popular. We had about 3,000 children registered for our Safer Internet Day 1 that we did last week, ready for this week. So that is on there. And also our training session. So a bit of a shameless plug and some FAQ area. You can also book a 15-minute video call if you want to. So that's a good place to get started. So finally, what you're all here for, J2 Journal, you will find on your Launchpad, and it will look like this. Okay, so Journal. It allows you to create a digital portfolio of learning for your class. And actually we designed it specifically for Scotland. So we have been running a free trial for Scotland for the last 2 years, I think it's been. Aberdeenshire were the first to take it on, and it came from a conversation that we had with a teacher who was frustrated that we had all this great content but couldn't quite get the profiling side of the curriculum. So we built it for you guys. So it sits within the parent portal, but it can be used independently. Okay, and it allows you to sort work by tagging children and adding folders, and you can comment and moderate. So let's just give you a bit of context about what we're looking at and what it looks like. So J2 Journal, when you open it up, this is a journal that I've created. Now this is my P1 class. Okay, so only the children in P1 will be able to see this journal, and only the parents, if we have it linked up to the parent portal. You don't have to have it linked up to the parent portal, but if you did, the parents would only be able to see the journals that their children are involved in. And we can see here that Rosie has taken this photograph. It's a great demonstration of some math skills, some colour, some sorting, some number skills. And she's taken that picture. Okay. Now, the teacher's actually posted this for her. So I'm imagining Rosie is a little bit young to be posting. So you do have the ability to be able to post on their behalf, which is really useful for the younger students. And it will showcase that you posted it because your teacher name will sort of show on the right-hand side. Now, any teacher will be able to post into this, and any teacher will be able to see all of the journals. It's just the pupils that will be kind of restricted. Now, you can see here, this is Rosie that's been tagged. So only Rosie will see this particular piece of work. We can also see here, seen by Charlie White. So that shows me the parent that is linked. So this particular parent has seen it. We've also got the ability here to comment and like. And as a teacher, this little 3 dots that allows you to edit that, for example. And I can scroll through and I've got lots and lots of different pieces of content. So I've got Rosie plus 1 more. Now, as a teacher, I can click on that 1 more. It's going to show me which children are tagged in that particular post. So I've got Rosie and Ezra. So both Rosie and Ezra will be able to see this post. Both Rosie and Ezra's parents, if linked, will be able to see this post as well. Okay, so that gives me a nice feed of different pieces of work. So obviously as the year goes on and you and the children start to post more content, it is going to become a lot bigger. So we can structure our journals and we've got folders here. So you can structure your folders however you like. You can see here that I've chosen subjects to, filter mine. These could be different curriculum areas, it could be different targets, however you want to structure it yourself. And we can create or edit folders there. But I can use those folders. So for example, maybe I'm an English lead, I want to look at the phonics that's going on. And I can see that's not phonics, but as I scroll down, I can see this is what Rosie's created for phonics. I can see the kind of comments. So again, that's great for that reflection side of the profiling requirement. The children have posted something, but they've also reflected on their learning via a comment. And those are all the pieces of work to do with phonics. Okay, we can also filter according to user. So I can have a look, I can have a deeper dive into particular children. And dates as well. So if I want to know what's going on a certain date, I can filter according to date. And we'll have a look at the review area shortly. Right, so from the beginning, creating your own journal. Okay, so this is done from within Journal, and you're going to press the New Journal button. Okay, and I'm going to do this live. So I'm going to click on J2 Journal. And if this is the first time you've used it, you probably won't have any of these journals, but these are the journals that are within my school. So as a teacher, you will see all of the journals. As I said, the pupils will only see journals that they are involved in. Now, what I would personally recommend is that each class has their own singular journal. Okay, so what you don't want is, a journal per subject. That's how your folders are going to structure your journals. Because ideally you really want children just to have that one journal that they can edit or add to, and they don't get confused about which one they have to add to. So we can click New Journal here, and that is going to ask you to select a class. Now, as I said earlier, you're a managed service. So if I use this little drop-down menu, all of these classes should be pre-created and pre-populated for you. And all that data is pulled from Glow, from CMIS, I do believe. Jim, I'm sure will correct me if I'm wrong. So if any of that data is incorrect, that will need to be logged with Glow. And I can see Jim is very proactive. He's already problem solving in the background, as I can see via the chat. So if you are finding there's any issues with your data, then please let them know, and they can adjust that quite quickly. Okay, so anything incorrect has to be logged with Glow, because we pull our data, and it may take a little while to update, but it will update once it's changed. So you can see here I've got my registration classes, so I can select a class. Now I'm going to select class 1 because my demo pupil is linked to class 1, so we'll be able to see her. I'm going to name this something different. I'm going to say I don't know, Bears class. Let's go Bear class. There we go. Now you do have the option to allow parents to comment on journal and allow parents to create journal. Now I do believe, and again, Jim will correct me if I'm wrong, that one has to be switched off. You can allow parents to comment on the journal. You kind of want to encourage that engagement. You do not want parents to create journal entries. I wouldn't panic too much if you created them already and that is switched on, because even if a parent does create a journal entry, it will sit in the review area before it's visible to anyone, to pupils. So I wouldn't panic if that's happened, but I would just ensure that that is switched off. And then we click create, and that has created that journal. So just to show you, I've now got Bear class there at the bottom. So a blank journal will look like this. Okay, and there's a couple of different ways that we can add content. And structuring your journal. Let's just have a look at this first. Oh, let me close some of these tabs down. There we go. Okay. So before we add content, probably what you want to spend some time is will be to structure your folders. Okay, so just have a a quick think about what folders you might need. Okay, and to add a folder, we've got this drop down menu here in the all folders, and you've got this create edit folders, and we can click on that, and then we've got this add button, so we can add multiple folders. So for example, I might have a maths folder, and I can color that a different color if I want to, and create folder, and I can keep going. So it is quite a nice, quick and easy process. So I might have a computing, or let's go for technology folder, for example. I might have that blue, and I might have an English folder and have that green, and there we go. You can edit these at any point, so you can see there I've got my little rename and I've got my delete button. So if you add it by accident or you want to rename, you can. And when you're done, you click close. And that now, if I look at my folders, if I refresh my page and look at my folders, I've got my 3 different folders there. So you can add folders as you go along. So don't worry if you've forgotten to create a folder, or you realize as time goes on you need a new folder. You can add that in at any time, and you can retrospectively add content to folders as well. So I will show you how we can edit previous entries a little bit later. So that is how you can create your journal and also structure your journal. Okay. Right. Adding to the journal. So there's a couple of different ways that we can add to the journal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my student account. So this is Lottie. She's in my class 1, so she's in my bears class. Okay, and she has some content that she's already made. So I'm just going to open that up. I'm going to go to her My Files, and she's got this lovely JIT painting that she's created. Okay, so she saved it because the save button is grayed out. So this is JIT Paint. Again, if you're brand new to the site, this is a really nice place to start because the children have got lots of sort of drawing capabilities. They've also got some recording audio functions. So again, the children can create something, they can take photos directly into this and then attribute, a sound reflection, maybe reflecting what they've done in that particular activity, why they've enjoyed it, what they've learnt from it. So you have that record function there. And that's just a very simple record. So we'll go allow, visiting the site, click the record button, click the stop button and click OK, and that will link that sound. So Lottie wants to send this to the journal. She's very proud of it. It's showing we've done this as part of Children's Mental Health Week, and it's all about her and what makes her unique and wonderful. And she wants to publish this to the journal. So all she's going to do, this button up here, I'm just going to zoom in just so you can see. It's this one with a little pen. She clicks on that. And it's going to ask her which journal. Now, this is why I kind of recommend only really having one journal per child, because if she only had one, that would have just sent straight to the journal. It wouldn't have had this pop-up. Not that this pop-up is an issue, but we now have 2 classes. So she has to choose which class. Okay, so she's going to choose Bear class and click OK. And that will be the pop-up. If she only had the one journal, it would have just popped up with that. So she would have clicked that, had that, click OK, and that would have gone to the journal. So if your children are using any of these JIT tools, they are able to press that button and that will publish to journal. Okay. Now the other tool, and I haven't pre-prepped this, so let me just bear with me. Here we go, is J2 Create. So for example, it's Safer Internet Day today. And this is a resource that is available in the library. So imagine this is Lottie and she's started to fill this out. So this is J2 Create. So she goes to edit. She can add a bit more. So she could say, I don't know, I don't recognize the email address. Okay. And again, she clicks save. So that's going to save into her My Files. So anything the children create saves into the My Files. And this publish to journal button is right here. Again, it's in the same space as JIT. So you'll notice in JIT, we've got save, publish to Webby, which is different, and publish to journal. J2 Create is exactly the same. We've got save, publish to Webby, publish to journal. Okay, so they're all in the same space. And again, we can click on that. It's going to prompt us with which journal. Click create, and that has then sent that to the journal. So that is how we can create content with the children, and they can send that content directly to journal. Okay, so within it. So that's probably the easiest way to do it. Or you've got the option to add new. Now this has more functionality. So I'd probably use this with your slightly older children, or to do this for your younger children on their behalf. So I'm going to add to this. So from within journal, I've got my new button. And also, because this is a brand new journal, I've also got this new button here. They both go to the same space. So I'm going to click new. And I've got some options. I've got title and description. Now, both of these are optional. And also you can post this as the journal entry. Okay, so the title, generally I would use that for, you know, things like literacy lesson on 11th of February 2025, or, you know, our class trip, or, you know, something that just contextualizes that activity. Description, you can add a description maybe about what they did in that lesson, what processes were followed, that kind of thing. Optional, so we can just click add file and ignore that if we wanted to. So here we go, we've got photo, audio, video, link, my files, pupil files, and upload. So there's lots and lots of different file types that we can add. So if the children have created maybe something non-digital, you have got the option to photograph it or video it. So that's very useful. Again, the children can do this as well. So even though I'm doing this from my teacher account, the children will have exactly the same options. They just won't have the option to choose from a different pupil file that you do as a teacher. So photo, audio, really good for that reflective practice. And children can add multiple files. So for example, let's take a photo. It's not going to let me take a photo because it will counteract with the Teams. Let's get rid of that. Let's go for audio instead. It'll count down. This is me reflecting on my learning. I've really enjoyed this activity today. And there we go. I can click tick. And that has added that to that journal entry. I can go back and add another file. So it might be that I look into my file. So anything a child creates or a user creates and saves will save into the my files. It's much like Google Drive or OneDrive. Our version is called My Files. So this is that's the content that I've just recorded. There's some options here. So there's the PowerPoint the J2 Create presentation I'm using, and some images that I've used. Alternatively, I can delve into my pupil files. So it could be that as a learning support assistant, I've taken this child out and we're reflecting on our learning. So I've taken Lottie out, for example, and there's that email that she's just added. But let's add this because she hasn't added this yet. Under the C sentence starter, I can add multiples as well. So I could take a class photo or speaking and listening activity. And then when I'm done, I can click OK. And there we go. So we've got a piece of work and the audio reflection that's linked to it. And you can add more and more. You can add from different pupils. So maybe they've worked collaboratively on something and they've each created something on a different iPad. So you can add from different pupil files. And then we click next. And here we can tag different pupils. You can tag all pupils if you wanted to. But I'm just going to scroll down. I'm going to find Lottie. Here we go. So I'm going to tag Lottie. And it might be that we've got another child. So I might tag Pierre as well. And then we click next. And I can add a folder if I want to, or I can tag into a folder and then click create. So it is just quite a nice step-by-step process. And there we go. So we've got our audio. Now, because I'm a teacher, that has published straight away. There's no review process. And this is the content that has been created. And I can click in that and it will open it up. So this is a JIT write. Now, all the functionality will work. So we've got text to speech. If there was an audio recording, we could play that. If this was a JIT animate, we could play the animation. So full functionality. And it is in view only, so we can't change it, which is nice. Okay, so that is adding content. Now you can tag pupils and folders, add the files, add the title and description, and then click that create button. I'm trying to think. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you the review process. So Lottie sent that content to the journal and it isn't showing yet, okay, because that is the journal entry that I have posted as a teacher. So if I just go back to my J2 journal landing page, you can see here I've got a purple number 2. So that shows me I've got 2 pieces of work that need reviewing as a teacher, and you can see class 1 has 1 piece of work. So if I click in my Bear class, I now have that purple review, so it just needs a refresh every so often. You know, if you've got it open in the background, just refresh it and it will show any sort of content that's been pushed by a pupil. And I can click review, and that has shown me that I've got 2 entries by Lottie. So I can see Lottie 1 entry, and I can click in that, so it will work the same as it does if it was a published piece of content, so I can see everything that she's added. I can edit that, so maybe I might want to, maybe she submitted it today, but I want to edit that. No, that's not right. So that's for things like the folder structure, so you can add a folder structure, or if you want to tag multiple pupils, so you can edit that. I was thinking about changing the date, but that comes a bit further down. So you do have the option to edit anything. And then when you're ready, you can either approve each entry on its own or approve all of them together. So I'm going to click approve, and that now is visible within our class journal. So once it is published, you also have the option with these little 3 dots here to edit any sort of content, to edit the users, to edit the folders, or to edit the date. So that was a request that we had. In fact, most of the revisions that we've done on Journal have been requests from teachers. So the date was definitely a big one, because a lot of teachers were, posting content maybe on a Sunday night when they had a chance to, reflect on last week's learning, but they wanted it posted on the date that they completed the lesson, for example. So you do have options there. So just follow the 3 dots, and there we go. So that is how you can publish content. Now, in terms of commenting, because you want, engagement and comments, the parent or the pupil can comment, and that is done by the comment button here. So we click comment, and you can add in a comment. Now, as a pupil or a parent, if they comment, that then has to be reviewed. So that will hold in that review area as well. Okay, so you will need to review anything, but it also means that comments won't be published without your knowledge, which, is a nice safety net to have. Okay. I've seen the question about linking curriculum of excellence E&Os. Currently not in the journal. It is a revision that they are working on fervently in the background, so I am hoping that is going to be out very soon. We do have something called J2 Review, which you can tag against. So if I just open up a pupil file and I go to class 1 and I open up Lottie, so these are these pieces of work that we've just published to the journal. If I go to this little star here, I can find the curriculum for excellence, and I have the different curriculum areas. So I could look for technologies, for example, and I could say, right, cyber resilience, yeah, well done. Yeah, and then that could be a crossover with literacy because it's sentence starters. So creating texts and listen to conversations. So there we go. So then if I X, and if I just have to refresh that page, it's quite irritating. There we go. So that has linked those E of O's onto that particular document. So we are going to join those up. So you will be able to do this linked to a journal entry. They're just working on how they're going to create that. So it's just a little bit of a step outside of journal, but it is something that we offer. Okay, so hopefully that's answered your questions. Right, parent portal. So I've talked about journal sort of as a standalone. Okay, as I said, you don't have to have the parents joined up if you don't want to. It does add a nice element to the journal because it gives children that authentic audience for the content they're creating through their profile. So it provides parents with a window into their children's learning. Can be viewed in a browser. We would highly recommend downloading the app. So there is a parent portal app called Just Too Easy Parent Portal, funnily enough, that's available on Android and the Apple App Store. So we would recommend you use the app for best user experience. And you can see here, this is what it looks like on an app. Teachers have control. You can switch on and off different elements of the portal to suit your school. And the school link parents by inviting via email or using the handy QR code. So there is a QR code that you can generate that must stay in school. Okay, you're not allowed to send that home. So parents can come in and scan that QR code. Now, multiple parents can scan the QR code, and there is a QR code or an email per child. So if you imagine Rosie and Willow are sisters, so Rosie would have a QR code or an email invite, and Willow would have a QR code and an email invite. But the parents, it will link to the same parent portal account. Okay, so mum can see both of those, and dad, if dad's linked, or grandma, or foster carer, or whoever it is, will be able to see both children if they have them linked. Okay, so adding parents to the parent portal, as I said, I would highly recommend that you encourage them to use the app. You can sign them up using an email address, and they are sent an email invite with step-by-step instructions. So they click on the link, they register, and that sets them up with an account. So signing the parents up, that is done through dashboard, which is here. Okay, so J2 dashboard. You can also find it in teachers area. So if I go to dashboard, this is kind of the admin area. So it's a teacher only account, and you've got this parent and carers tab. Now, also just to point out, this down here is where you will find parent portal settings. Okay, and this needs to be switched off. So allow parents are not allowed, I'm sure Jim will jump in if this is incorrect, parents are not allowed to message back, but they are allowed to comment on the journal. And you can blanket switch these off, so allow parents to create journal entries should be off as well, I think. And there's also J2 message log is there, so that's how we send the messages to parents. Every message is logged, so you need to make all stakeholders aware that every message is logged. So, you need to let your teachers know, you need to let your pupils know if you're using it with pupils, and you definitely need to let your parents know. So, and then we go to parents and carers, and we choose our class. So class 1 is my class, and you have the 2 different options. So you've got your create QR code, so I can click that, and that's going to generate a QR code per parent. And as Jim has said, it needs to remain in school as part of a requirement for your ICO and the DPIA process. But you can retain these in school, cut them up. The parent can come in, parents' evening, or if you want to do, parent portal launch event. All they need to do is open the camera app on their phone, scan this, and it will take them straight to the registration page. They will, as I said, receive a QR code per child. They do need to scan each of the QR codes. So they will need to go to each classroom to see the class teacher to scan each QR code, because it will link the children up to the same account. Okay, now the alternative, if you don't want to use QR codes, is the option to invite parent. Okay, so if we've got David here, we click invite parent and we manually input the email address here and click invite, and they will receive an email that has a little clickable button that they then have to, follow the step-by-steps, and that will register them. Now, you'll notice here I've got this invited column. Okay, so these, if we've sent out an email, so let's send my work email. And I've done that before. I don't know why. So because I'm already registered for this school, it's automatically linked me up to that parent, to that child. Okay, so I now have David in my parent portal. But if it was the first time, they will stay in that invited column. Okay, as you can see here, we've got Mary McClory. So I have the ability to cancel that invite. So maybe that's been sent by mistake. Maybe there's a spelling mistake, or we just don't want that parent being linked. You can click that cross and that will take that away. And the same with the QR codes. Okay, so we can revoke access to them. And also, once we've added a parent and we want to revoke access for whatever reason, you can click on that cross and that is going to revoke access for that parent. So you do retain full control as a teacher. to all parents and all access to the parent portal. And remember, parents won't have access to it unless they are sent an email or a QR code. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you the parent portal view, because I know that was a brilliant question. So in terms of what the parents see, here we go, hopefully, and I've lost my Teams, so let me know if you can't see that parent portal. So I'm going to sign in. Okay, and I have 4 children. I keep adding more and more. I don't really have 4 children, certainly not in primary school. But there's Lottie, and we can click on Lottie, and this is what each child will have. They'll have their own personal sort of parent portal launchpad. And you'll be able to see homework tasks if you're using homework, J2 stars if you're using J2 stars. Homework, the bigger tab is there, so that just gives you an overview of the outstanding tasks. Parents can upload files, and this is quite simple. They click on the upload files and they've got a choose files button. Okay, and class blog, so that's J2 Webby, so that's slightly different. And then there's that J2 journal. So this is what the parents will see in J2 journal. So they can see these, they can see which class it's posted in, and they can have a look at the pieces of work, and it opens up in view only. So a very similar view. The parents have slightly less ability to be able to sort of filter, so they can see, you know, according to English or digital learning, or date. And they have the option to comment. Again, if they comment, it will stay in that review area until it's been authorized by a teacher. And they can like anything as well. Okay, so the like button is quite nice, so you know which parents have sort of, you know, seen it and liked it, but they haven't got time to interact with it for whatever reason. They don't have any editing capabilities, and they aren't able to, if I see Lottie plus one more, if I click, we can't see which other child. So completely GDPR safe. You're not going to get, you know, any breaches of data at all. So that is what the journal looks like for the parents. And then there's the messaging service. So J2 Message is what we use for messaging between staff, students and parents. So staff, you are in control. Child and parent messaging can be turned off, and there is a downloadable message log, so all messages are stored and accessible by staff, and parents are not allowed to message back. So this is done through J2 Message. So from our launchpad, it's here. I swear my launchpad keeps moving things. It doesn't, it's just so I'm going to click on J2 Message. Now this is a really nice teaching tool, actually, and I did do a webinar a couple of weeks ago about online safety, and I'm quite passionate about children being able to practice what they know and what they're learning. So my one bugbear about teaching online safety when I was in school was always that I had to teach them what they weren't allowed to do online, but I could never show them how to communicate effectively. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but just to say, this is a teaching tool as well, so you can communicate with your class. You can tailor the pupil engagement with that. Okay. However, to message parents and carers, under each class, you will have a sort of sub discussion board that says message all parents and carers, and that is how you can message the parents. You've also got the ability to message all parents and carers in school. Okay, so that's great if you've got, you know, maybe things like an in-service day, you know, no school tomorrow, just quick reminders for the parents. So you can do that. You've also got the option up here, these little sort of 3 people, to independently message. So for example, we want to message Lottie's parents, so I can click Lottie and I can message that particular parent. Okay, so let's message Lottie's mom and just say it's in today, and I'm going to send that, and that is sent to Lottie's mom, so I can see which teacher sent it, and I can see which parent that was sent for. I've got the option to use speech to text. I can add attachments if I need to, and I've got the option to record an audio message, and yes, they can switch on and off app notifications. So they've got two options. Let me just find my parent portal. There it is. They have two options. If I just go to switch. So in their settings, and this is why I recommend they use the app instead of the browser. So for the browser, to change their notifications, they have to click on their name, go to their settings and click notifications. So they have the option to choose push notifications or email notifications, and they can tailor all these. So you can see I've switched loads of my email notifications off. So it really depends on how they're using it. But in the app, it's much easier because it's at the bottom of the app. Okay, they've got a little, I have to double check because they keep changing it. I think they've got a little cog that they click and then it brings it up to the email notifications. So they can completely tailor it. And if they say that they're not getting notifications, it's generally because this is switched up here to disable all notifications. So as long as they switch that back off again, that should do. So if a journal entry is sent, they get a notification. Yeah, so they can choose what they want to have email or push notifications for. Okay. And they've got the option to sort of change password, delete account, and their own settings. So in terms of that message that we just sent, they will, if they've got push notifications, they will get a little thing come up on their phone. If they get email notifications, they'll get a little email, which I'm sure is what's just pinged into my email. And then it will show up here. Okay, so there is our message. It's come from Miss Kimmore, J2E, so we can click on that. And there we go, it's an in-service day-to-day. Now, because I have my parent messaging switched off, there is no reply box at the bottom there. So they will just see that message and they've got no option to respond. Okay. For audio messages, sorry, Jim, I don't think they can switch off just audio messages. They can switch off messages completely, which they should, for parents messaging back. So that would remove that instance anyway. But they
I
can't
think that's what I was thinking, Nikki, that because we could turn the message off, that included the audio.
Yeah.
Because why would we want to send audio on its own? I don't.
Yeah. I mean, we added in the audio messaging for parents that were illiterate. So the teacher still has the option to send out audio messages, and that was, the sole reason really was parents that really couldn't read and understand what was going on. So the teacher will retain that option still. So that is messaging. Let me find my. Okay, so observations. Presumably it's from sort of nurseries. I've just read that. What I would say, Amanda, is I have some options for you. I'm more than happy to go through them, but I would suggest that maybe we meet on a one-to-one because there's some fantastic things that we can do with nursery and observations. I can look and talk to you about if you've got any pro formas that you're using and how you can implement those to get the best out of it. So if that sounds of interest, if you just go to the teachers area and go to that 15-minute bookable, either Charlie or myself. Charlie does some evening sessions and weekend sessions, not saying that you have to, and I tend to do more during the week. So just book a slot with us and we can sort of brainstorm it together, if that sounds okay. I'm going to have a whole influx of meetings this week, aren't I? I'm not busy at all this week or next week, so yeah, just booking a slot. For those with a VI, it would be really helpful. Is it wondering about granular settings? Not at the moment, but then I suppose if they're looking at it from a parent portal perspective, you could utilize the settings on your phone for VI. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I've got a whole influx. please, if you have any questions, I am at the end of my session. So if there's any questions, please feel free to add them into the chat. But thank you ever so much for listening. I hope it's been helpful. And as I said, if you need any more information, if you want to book a 15-minute appointment, feel free. I'm going to wade my way through some of these questions now. Yes, parents with dyslexia prefer audio messaging. Yes, I was an SEND teacher, so I'm definitely a big advocate for sort of any sort of accessibility tools. Can you add more than one parent? Yes. So you can absolutely add more than one parent to the dashboard. So you can invite parent, just add each email address. So you can add, you know, grandparents if you wanted to, or as I said, foster carers, external professionals would be a bit, but you know, maybe if you've got like a social worker or something that needs to keep an eye on things. Yes. Text-to-speech and multi-language options are usually available on phones. Yeah. Is there any way I can jump onto the call with Amanda McIntosh as we're from the same nursery? Absolutely. The more the merrier. As long as you bring the biscuits. Yes, sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that. Do double check before you add any people that aren't in your school. Yes, that was a bit irresponsible of me. But you are the data, the handlers, data owners. So, any other questions at all? I feel like that was there's so much to get through when looking at journal and parent portal. I think because so many schools have different requirements for what they're, you know, and demographics and areas that they're looking at. So there's a lot to take in. What I would suggest is going away, having a go, launch it with your pupils to start with, get them used to using the journal, pushing content, get used to you authorizing it, and then add the parents in a little bit later, would be my professional suggestion. Plus it gives the parents something to look at. So if you know, if they've already got 5 or 6 pieces of content to look at, they're more likely to keep checking than if they open it and it's completely blank. But yes, so
good information, Nikki. Good information.
Okay.
That's great. So we've got to get ready now for the next call, and of course, people that are on here are welcome to come to that one as well. I think we sent you the link as well. It might actually be the same link. I can't remember, but Nikki's given you lots of ways to contact her, and of course, there's the YouTube channel. I don't think you mentioned that. Do you want to put that link up?
I didn't. Well, it's in the teachers area.
It's in the
now.
teachers
So
area.
Go
Yeah.
teachers area and go to our YouTube channel. As I said, labour of love. I think that is going to be the phrase of the day, Jim. So we've got our webinars that we've done this academic year, of which we've done loads. So there's an early years one. We've done things like digital